The network operator community has many different approaches to the telco cloud. To find out about BT's cloud strategy and platform, I'm talking with Neil McRae, the UK National Operator's Managing Director of Architecture and Technology Strategy and BT Chief Architect. So Neil, great to see you again. Can you give us an update on BT's network cloud? This is a UK-wide distributed private cloud, is that right?
Yes, it is. Our intention is to make it as open as possible. I'll maybe cover that later on, but we're building what we call cloud pods all over the country, initially to run our own workloads, particularly around network services. So we have two workloads running on it today. One is CDN, and the other is kind of authentication for our broadband platform. The big piece of work that we're doing right now is to put our 5G dual stack core onto it. So a new platform from Ericsson that's cloud native that will do 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G standalone, and a number of other capabilities. It's going well. I think probably the first earlier use cases were much more simpler. 5G core is a complex beast, both in the networking demands, the security demands, and then the individual application demands. Plus, we leverage two or three other partners, Oracle and Nokia, for some aspects of our 5G core. And just bringing all that together it's been challenging, I think it's fair to say, but it's a kind of juicy technical challenge that I kind of get out of bed for in the morning. The great news is that we're kind of over the kind of peak of development, and COVID has given us some real workplace challenges that we might talk about later.
Okay, excellent. So you're already down this path to having your network cloud support 5G. Is this really the only way to properly build and manage and run a 5G core, to have it on some kind of distributed cloud platform?
Yeah, I think when you look at the 5G use cases and what we call the 5G experience rates, I think it's hard to do it centralized, which is typically how we delivered, 4G to some extent, 3G for sure. You've got use cases that are low latency. You've got use cases that are really high bandwidth. Even the most basic use case, enhanced mobile broadband. You've got potentially 800 megabit flows appearing on the network randomly. Trying to do that in a centralized way just isn't feasible. And actually, the great thing about being a converged player is that we've got a huge amount of experience in big flow traffic on our fixed network, because we obviously run BT broadband, which is, hits 20 plus terabits every day. And we've taken that traffic engineering expertise and really mapped it onto, okay, how would we build 5G so that we were able to take advantage of our phenomenal core network and give that kind of high bandwidth experience that customers want. And I think when you look at the independent kind of reviews of our network from Ookla and those people, you really see it. We're not just a little bit above the competition, we're a lot above the competition. And we're number one network in the UK, both in fixed and in mobile. And it's because of that converged knowledge that we've been able to really drive that from our 4G leadership position into our 5G leadership position.
Okay, excellent. Now, the network cloud, is this able to help support private network strategies of enterprise customers as well? Could it play a role in those kind of services?
Yeah, absolutely. Our whole ethos of building network cloud was to enable the network to bring compute where you needed it, and to integrate into the network in a really highly automated way. We started off with, I think, roughly about 6 pods. I think we're close to about 60 now, and we've built the platform to scale to being able to deploy perhaps a blade server or a combined disaggregated router server into customer premises to deliver edge services. Starting probably with security, maybe, but other services that we're working on around video, but very much where we need compute. We want to take network cloud now. Some customers may have a view on what compute they want, and again, we're flexible and open to that. But our kind of default fast way of deploying stuff is on network cloud, and we see it. We've been able to turn workloads on and off, particularly through the COVID period, really quickly on network cloud, and to some extent, our timing was pretty good on network cloud and being able to use it in a way that supported some of the COVID challenges we faced. And that flexibility, that on-demand elasticity and automation is really what the power of we talk a lot about virtualization and cloud native, but they're enablers for the real benefits, which are truly elastic, truly automated. And it's impressive to see the change that it enables in our thinking about running the network, and our thinking about how we actually give customers an even better experience than we've already given them.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to see that reflected now in what enterprises are looking for from the market and what they think they can do, moving from that static to that flexible scenario.
I'm just going to build on that. I think 5G in enterprises is the big opportunity for telcos, but also it's the big opportunity for industry, particularly here in Europe, where we're not as efficient as say the Far East or even the United States. And I think, again, we built 5G with that efficiency play in mind and those efficiency use cases. And network cloud is at the heart of being able to deploy that.
Okay, yeah, really exciting times for the operators and of course for the enterprises. And I think we're seeing that in the kind of ideas and innovation and demands that we're seeing from the enterprise community. Now, of course, another part of flexibility here is the ability to add new applications and services. So how open is the BT network cloud in terms of application development? Is this a cloud platform to which you could integrate third-party apps if needed?
Yeah, and we've done that to some extent. I think, look, most cloud platforms run Linux and Kubernetes, and you don't get much more open than those two capabilities. We're also leveraging Juniper's Contrail platform, and whilst we're leveraging the commercial version of that, it is an open platform as well. We're very focused on open source Mano, and working on leveraging open source as one of the, I wouldn't call it the key foundations, but if there has to be a really good reason for us to move away from an open direction. Either it gives us a big step forward in differentiation, or why would you do it? And I think we are very much open to listening to application developers, listening to other network application developers to make changes and do things differently on our platform. Because I think if you think, we built and designed this over the past 2 years, technology's moved on massively just in that 2-year space. And I think if we just stand still and not develop it and add more capabilities, make it more open, make it easier to use, then I think swiftly it becomes it would become a white elephant. But we're really open to it, and also we have to recognize, telcos are not the experts in cloud technology. We're fast followers for sure, but we've still got a lot to learn in that space, and some of the work that some of the hyperscalers are doing and the community is doing in terms of capabilities is really exciting, and we're really happy to onboard it. Where I'd love to be is for BT to be contributing more in this space, back to the open community. And we do that in many areas, but probably not so much in cloud, because it's probably not our strongest skill space. But we're actively working, actually in partnership with Intel, to kind of build much more of a training program that generates the kind of cloud builders, engineering type roles, as opposed to cloud users, which there's, if you want someone to set up, something on a public cloud, there's loads of people that can do it. If you want to hire someone to build you a cloud, that's very difficult to find that skill.
So, talking of the hyperscalers, what kind of role could the public cloud giants such as AWS, Azure, Google Cloud play in your network cloud strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I think clearly our customers are in the public cloud, or many of them, and we have to be able to work with the public cloud. And again, we're building kind of tooling to be able to connect our network to the public cloud, to network cloud. We can already do that in many of our customer VPNs. Again, it's an automated. We have this platform called CMS that will connect you to the cloud on our business services. And we're kind of extending that so that if there is a customer that has something in the cloud, or wants to use a public cloud hyperscaler at the edge, that we can bring our capability to it. And over the next few weeks and months, you'll probably see us talk a lot more about that, Ray, where we're actively partnering. But I think the other thing, I really pay tribute to the hyperscalers. In terms of some of the things that they've created, that actually, if these things were around 2 years ago, we might have gone a very different path at BT. So things like Google Anthos, which is a kind of cloud PaaS platform, has got really, really exciting capabilities in it. Amazon's Elastic Kubernetes service, again, some fantastic capabilities in that if you were probably a tier 2 or a tier 3, you probably look at that and say, actually, that could be an easy way of getting us to the cloud capability that we need, given it's so hard to find skills and it's challenging to build this. We're fortunate that we've got a big research team that we can work through this, but I think they're providing more of the industry with the core tooling that we need. And we're very open to working with all of them. In fact, we do today. We run a lot of our IT on AWS. We run a lot of IT on Azure, and basically BT's entire data platform sits on Google Cloud. So we're used to working with the hyperscalers. We think there's a good competition, as they call it, opportunity there. But our customers increasingly, and I think this is the buzzword of 5G, is partnership, and working in partnership and collaborating to create the capabilities that will really make a difference in enterprise. And that's what 5G is all about. It's about efficiency. It's about driving more out of the network, because we're putting on much more challenging use cases, what I call kind of life and death use cases, that historically, we wouldn't even consider putting on a network. Now, by routine, we're thinking about it. And that's because of the power that 5G brings, and also the capabilities that the hyperscalers have enabled for us.
Yeah, it's great that the options are there for the operators as well as the enterprises. Now, in terms of future developments, what are the key areas of R&D that you would like to see accelerated or advanced that would help you with your cloud strategy? And are you getting everything you need from your tech partners?
My tech partners know that I always want more. They kind of, they're never in any doubt that I'm never satisfied, and because, Ray, I look at how important the network is, particularly over the last year. I mean, I think many of us through the last year have sat and thought about what's important to us. Do we, I've had colleagues that have decided to change their lifestyle because of the COVID situation and think differently. Personally speaking, I've really re-energized about how important the network is, and how sometimes we take it for granted. So, and the last year has taught us that we absolutely can't take the network for granted. And what I'm challenging my suppliers to do is now that we've proven without a shadow of a doubt how crucial the network is, how do we ride that momentum to really make a difference in everything that we do in the world? So how do I go into small businesses and make them twice as efficient? How do I go into major corporations and make it easier for their people to get stuff done? How do I work with governments to improve society and the way that we live? And I really believe the network is a crucial piece of that. And it excites me beyond belief. And just seeing some of the use cases that have appeared over the last year that might never have hit the ground. And also the appetite for change, Ray. We had but prior to COVID, we had a Microsoft Teams rollout plan. That rollout plan was like a 2-year program where we moved, 10 people every other week. We moved almost 100,000 people in BT onto Teams in the space of 2 days. And it's that sort of approach to change that I think with the power of 5G is going to really deliver some compelling opportunities for our customers. So my ask to all of our suppliers is help me help our customers become more effective. And it's probably less about technology in some respects, although that is important. And it's more about the mindset of, when we look at some of these use cases, they look hard, but, that's why I get out of bed is for hard. So I really want to see us, work with some of the telco vendors and other vendors about how do we reuse your technology? How do we re-refine your technology into a new solution that might help industry? And I'll give you one example, Ray. We took a lot of the lowest path routing technology that we have. Some of it's via the internet, some of it's stuff that we've developed at BT Labs. And we thought, actually, we could reuse this to help transportation. We've got what we call lowest, shortest path first algorithms all over the network. How can we lift them and reuse those algorithms in other, routing use cases? Now, lots of people say GPS, and for sure GPS is helpful. But when you're planning at an industrial level, hundreds of vehicles, much like the thousands of flows we have on the network, how can we use that differently? And that's my challenge to everyone in networks. How do we re-refine all of this great technology we've got to solve problems in industry and in other ways? And crucially, allow us to make more money and show value. Because, I think if you look at the telecom sector over the last year, Ray, it's not been a great ride. No one, particularly here in Europe, is doing particularly great. And when you look to the future and the investment we need to make, it's crucially important that we make a return. And that's much more than the return that we see on consumer 5G. So, my ask to all of my technology partners is let's solve use cases for customers. We're great at the plumbing. We are the network plumbing geniuses. We can get network plumbing anywhere you want. But let's do much more than we've done before, and that's kind of that's what I'm working on at BT, and it's what we're working on. Our strategy at BT called Ambition 2030 is to become much more of a solution player for our key customers, and really to use the network, as we call it, to connect for good, and that is what I'm focused on. And COVID is really it's the reason why I've always been in networks, is to make the world a better place. But with COVID, I've kind of been re-energized, and the technology that we've got in 5G and cloud technologies, and some phenomenal developers both here in the UK but also all over the world, to really make a difference in the world, so that 3 or 4 years from now, the world's an even better place than what it would have been had we not had these technologies.
Well, that's a great message to send to the industry, to the market, and to your partners and customers as well, Neil. As always, really insightful thoughts from you there. Thanks very much for joining us again today, Neil.
Thanks, Ray.